Well, it's been about 5 years in the making, but the long wait is finally over because I'm here today on the show floor of the 2024 Chicago Auto Show, and this right here is the full production version of the Tesla Cybertruck. So let's go ahead and take a first look. So it was November 2019 when Tesla first revealed the Cybertruck in the prototype form in LA.
Jackson, you shot here?
Maybe a little bit. How's it going, Roman?
Good. How are you, my man?
Good.
Oh, you walked into your shot? Oh,
You might have a little bit. That's okay.
Sorry.
I haven't touched anyone yet today, Roman.
Sorry, but you know, his presentation is so pitch perfect that I had to come in here. And
You just had to come and ruin it, but that's okay.
Yeah. Enjoy the Cybertruck.
Yeah, this is my first time seeing it, so that's why I'm excited to see this thing in person. But yeah, so it was November 2019 when Tesla first revealed the Cybertruck in the prototype form in LA. I was actually at the LA Auto Show at the time, and we kind of knew that Tesla would probably end up delaying this thing. They originally promised it would be in 2021 that it would go in production, but again, 3 years later, we're finally looking at the production version. This model here is actually a Foundation series. So this truck here comes in at well over $100,000. It comes standard with the dual motor all-wheel drive system to give you around 600 horsepower and around 340 miles of range. Tesla says that you can take your pick between 3 different versions of the Cybertruck, starting with the standard range rear-wheel drive, which will be available in 2025. This is technically the dual motor Foundation series. This is the earliest ones that are going on sale right now. They're being delivered. And then there's also the Cyber Beast, which has 845 horsepower. That's going to be later on available this year for around $100,000. But let's go ahead and talk about the exterior styling, because this is actually my first time seeing the Cybertruck in person. And you have to agree with this statement here. This thing looks otherworldly. It looks almost like a Tron-inspired vehicle. I mean, Elon Musk wanted this thing to stand out and look futuristic, and he pretty much got it right with the design because it looks exactly like the prototype model. You can see the entire body is made of a stainless steel exoskeleton, which Tesla basically had to create and design themselves, and they also had to create a new manufacturing process to actually bend the steel to form the shape of the Cybertruck. You can see the front end has the same look as the prototype. It's got this full-length LED light bar. You guys might think this is actually the headlight, but the headlight is actually located slightly below here, underneath, in between the bumper and of course the stainless steel exoskeleton. You can see this area here is actually made of a plastic composite material, but if you guys don't like this particular color, you're gonna be out of luck. You have to basically wrap the Cybertruck to get a different color on it, because this stainless steel exoskeleton is dent resistant, it's bullet resistant, and it's designed again to give this thing that stainless steel skin from the look of it. Now, there is a frunk in the vehicle. If you actually push this little button over here, you can see it's a power frunk. I don't know what the actual measurements are for the frunk, but you can see compared to something like the F-150 Lightning, the Rivian R1T, or the GMC Hummer EV, this frunk is definitely not as large, and that has to do with the design of the Cybertruck. Now, I'm surprised to see here there's not really any power outlets or whatnot, but it is still a usable space. Tesla says if you open this panel here, you're gonna find, access to like the washer fluid and some of the electronics and stuff like that. But overall, it's definitely still a usable space, and if you want to close the frunk, you can basically push that button here. That's also going to power close the frunk for you. Now, Tesla actually says when they came out with the production version of this truck, they actually shrank it a little bit by, I believe, 30%. And this thing definitely has a crazy presence to it when you see it in person. It's not quite as big as something like the F-150 Lightning. In fact, the overall length, Tesla says, is around 223.7 inches long. That's roughly 6 inches longer than the Rivian R1T, but around 9 inches shorter than the F-150 Lightning. So obviously, this is kind of more of a lifestyle mid-size truck, but again, you really have to stare at the proportions in person to kind of see just how otherworldly it is. You can see there's this massive wiper blade here that is basically a single wiper blade that allows the windshield to get wiped away. It's probably a bespoke design that Tesla had to engineer themselves to kind of create something like this. You can see a lot of the stainless steel panels, they do show fingerprints. I literally saw the Tesla rep polishing the stainless steel, because if you just run your finger along it, it's going to show fingerprints all over. You can see the wheel arch moldings are plastic. The wheels, they're a 20-inch wheel, and this is actually a bespoke Goodyear tire that Tesla had to design with Goodyear to kind of create this overall look. It's an all-terrain tire, a 285 by 65 R20, and this is actually a plastic aerodynamic cover. If you take that off, there's actually the wheel design, and basically this looks almost exactly like the prototype truck that they showed 5 years ago. The suspension is an all-air suspension. It has a steer-by-wire technology. It has four-wheel steering. Tesla says that in extract mode, this thing can raise up the ground clearance to be around 17.4 inches, which is actually more versus what you're going to get from the Rivian or the GMC Hummer EV. Now you can see the roofline of the thing. has this really interesting peak at the top. Again, that's all for aerodynamics as it kind of comes and tapers down toward the rear of the truck. The door handles, you can see no door handles because it's all for aerodynamics. If you push this button here, you can see that's what actually opens up the door. It's the same thing for the front door. We'll talk about the interior in just a second. And then looking at the side profile, you can see, obviously this is not a traditional kind of truck. So the bed is a 6-foot bed. It's also 4 feet wide. And then when you look at the rear of the truck, you can see this whole panel here is really interesting because this is all, this electric tonneau cover here is all for aerodynamics. And Tesla says this is actually strong enough where somebody like me could stand and walk all over this. And you could also technically walk on the roof. I'm not gonna do that obviously here at the auto show floor, but you can see the design is very simple, but also very, very Tron inspired. It's got that full length LED light bar that kind of goes across the back. The rear bumper over here is a plastic design, but you can see all that stainless steel exoskeleton makes its way back here again. And then when you want to access the cargo area here, you can also basically push this button here. That's going to open up the tailgate, and you can also push this button here, which will allow the tonneau cover to power retract. Now, Tesla says if you have that tonneau cover open, it's going to create some drag, which is going to lower the aerodynamics and reduce the range. And you can also see when you open up the tonneau cover, there's a glass portion there that allows you to see out of the back. Now, when it's closed, you can't see out of the back via the traditional way, so there's a rear view camera mirror to kind of help you see out of the back when that is closed. But in terms of the bed space here, you can see Tesla says when everything is closed up, you have around 67.4 cubic feet of space, lockable, secured space, which is great. The bed itself is 6 feet long, which is, again, a very usable amount. It's also 4 feet wide. Tesla says you can also carry up to 2,500 pounds of payload in the bed, which, again, is also a very usable amount. There's also some power outlets on here because this vehicle does have kind of like Tesla's version of a Pro Power onboard system. There's actually 4 standard prong plugs, and then there's one NEMA 1450 plug. Tesla says the vehicle can supply up to 9.6 kilowatts if you guys need to use it as a vehicle to load function. There's also a little bit of an underfloor trunk storage area here, or bed storage area here. I don't know the actual capacity of that, but you can see here it's very, very usable. This model here that I'm showing you should have around 340 miles of range. That's, of course, with a 123 kilowatt hour battery pack. There's also going to be a range extender that's going to be optional that actually takes up about a third of the space in the bed. Tesla says that's around 50 kilowatts extra, and it can increase the range to around 470 plus miles on the dual motor version, around 440 and the tri-motor version. We don't have a price yet of that extended motor battery pack, but Tesla says that is designed to basically allow this thing to tow heavy loads on longer distances to increase the range. So getting into the Tesla Cybertruck is also a futuristic affair. There's a button here on the B pillar. You push that button, that actually pushes the door out slightly, and I think the only way to grab it is basically grab the top rubber portion of the door and then just kind of yank it out. And the doors definitely feel heavy. Remember, the entire exoskeleton is, I believe, like 1.8 millimeters thick, which is actually half the thickness that Tesla originally quoted on the prototype, which was like 3 millimeters thick. Again, it all creates the kind of strong, bulletproof resistant material that the Cybertruck has been touted up for. Now, closing the door actually has a really solid sounding thunk, so I like that. Again, it feels heavy, it feels solid. Window controls are up, down for, I believe, all 4, which again gives this thing a premium feel. I like the window control touches. There's also a button here that allows you to basically open the door, so it's electronic, just like on other Tesla models. In terms of the materials, you can see there's actually a nice leather covered portion here. There's beautiful red ambient lighting. There's also the white fake leather that you see on the door panel. It's nice and padded over here. This right here is kind of like a little grab handle. It's necessary to kind of get in and out of the truck. And then down here you can see there are some storage compartments which allows you to kind of put some knickknacks and whatnot in this interior. Now, getting in the Cybertruck for the first time, I have to say the view in this thing is interesting because, for one, it's got probably one of the longest dash to axle ratios that I've seen. So there's a really far view that extends forward. This is definitely going to take some time to get used to if you've never driven a vehicle like this. It makes you feel like you're almost sitting in the back seat as opposed to the front seat when you're sitting here in the driver's seat. The steering wheel also is a really weird design. It's actually called a squircle. That's the combination of a square and a circle. It's actually a word. I looked it up. It sounds like a Pokemon, but it's because it basically has a flat top and a flat bottom. Tesla did it this way, which the original prototype had it had a yoke steering wheel, but again, I'm glad that Tesla decided to go with at least a part of the wheel that you can grab. This allows you to have a clear view of the front. There's obviously no gauges here, but the truck itself has a full steer-by-wire system. So anytime you turn the wheel, it can variably adjust the ratio and how much the wheels are turning depending on your speed. This truck also has 4-wheel steering, so the rear wheels can turn up to 10 degrees. which again, I'll eventually, hopefully be driving the Cybertruck at some later date this year. I'm gonna have to either find one on Turo or find an owner that has one. So if you guys know somebody or you own one, shoot me a message and let me know where you are at, and I'd be happy to see if I can fly out to finally review and drive the Cybertruck. Now, in terms of the materials on the dash, you can see the upper portion is a soft touch injection molded plastic. It kind of has like this Rubbermaid texturized look to it. This is kind of similar to what other Teslas show. There's a beautiful light, red ambient light strip that goes across the dash, more of that white trim here where it's kind of covered in the fake leather. And then how could you not ignore basically the central control panel? This is the latest version of Tesla's infotainment system. It's an 18.5-inch display. As you can see, this is bigger versus what you're going to find like at the 15-inch screen in the Model 3 or the Model Y. This is actually bigger versus the screen in the Rivian R1T. It's almost like Tesla saw the Rivian, was just like, screw you Rivian, we're going to do an even bigger screen. And I also love the fact that the screen itself, look at the graphics and the resolution and the software. Just look how smooth and quick that circles around the truck. You can also control, functions in the truck where you can open and close the tonneau cover from here. You can adjust the charge, or you can open the charge port door from back there. And then if you want, if you like actually tap that, you can actually do a little Easter egg there for when Elon Musk was doing the presentation, they accidentally broke the window from the from the baseball hitting it. So that's a really cool Easter egg. That's something that Teslas have always been known for. You can see down here their usual widgets. You can also pull up the actual controls for the truck here. You can fold the mirrors, you can adjust the steering wheel, you can adjust, the tonneau cover, the ride height as well. You can go to your charging, your towing. This, again, software-wise, Tesla is a software company first, a car company second, and it really shows that whenever I'm using their infotainment systems. Compared to all the other manufacturers, this is just cleaner, it's simpler. It still lacks Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but again, I actually had a Model 3 years ago when it first came out. And I didn't really miss it because Tesla's native system just works extremely well. It's also got cameras around the truck. You can see the resolution and quality is fantastic, so you kind of expect to find features like that. The one thing I'm not quite sure I'm sold on are the buttons for the turn signal stock. So again, there's no stock here for the drive mode selector or for the transmission selector or for the turn signals. Instead, you just have a button here on the steering wheel, which I'm not sure I'm a fan of the button. It's just going to take some getting used to. In terms of putting the truck into drive, you actually do that via the screen here. So when you have the vehicle on, it's in showroom mode now, so I'm not going to be able to do that. It uses the key card or your phone as the key to access the vehicle. But you basically either swipe forward here to go to drive, push it back to go to reverse, or slide it back to go to reverse, push the P to go to park. That is all, again, predictive. Tesla tries to predict what direction you're going to go based on the location that you're at, how your driving style is. There are redundant controls for the transmission up here on the ceiling. Now, I can't get them to show up right now, but you can see, if you see the light, there's actually P, reverse, neutral, and drive here. These are all redundant because most of the times you're going to be accessing it through the screen. There's also your hazard control here. Speaking of which, while we're up here, look at the windshield, guys. It kind of comes completely steeply raked, and it goes over the sun visors, which again, it looks really, really futuristic and cool. There's like a nice padded area that's covered in micro suede. There's also this like touch panel here that allows you to turn on and off the map lights. Everything in here just looks super futuristic. So again, I applaud Tesla for trying to be different. The company's always trying to be different. Over here in the center console, you can see there's a nice padded area here. If you open this up, there's a little bit of a storage, and if you pull that out, you can see there's a deeper storage compartment. There's no power outlets in there, but you're going to find 2 wireless phone charging pads here, cup holders here and whatnot, and then I believe down here there's additional storage. I can't seem to find the USB charging ports, so they're probably located somewhere around here. Rob is literally trying to find them as well while he's trying to film as well. In terms of the glove box, it looks like there is a glove box in this vehicle, and if I remember correctly, there you go. It's actually a power bin that pulls out. It's a drawer, so that's a really cool little feature there. Love to see, again, Tesla kind of doing something different. This is also a very usable amount of space. I also love how quick it works. It's just really, really cool. In terms of the seats, these seats are heated and ventilated. They adjust in like 12 or 14 different ways. I couldn't remember the exact amount. This is actually a vegan material. It's a fake leather, but it feels really comfortable and supportive. I love the kind of look of the seats with the two-tone and the contrasting stitching. Again, the heated and ventilation function works well. It has memory controls where you can basically set a driver's profile, and it'll always remember what the vehicle's settings were and whatnot. But overall, you can see the interior. I probably need more time to really spend going over and poking through the rest of this cabin, but let's go ahead and hop into the back seat because I want to show you guys what that looks like back there. Now, what I don't have are legroom figures, but you get in by pushing that same button and then pulling the door out yourself. Now, in terms of the back seat area, first of all, the back seat, it does have I want to say it gives you the ability to open and close the seat, but let's go ahead and get inside. I'll see if I can figure that out later. But in terms of the space back here, let me go ahead and close the door. You can see in terms of the legroom space, there's a ton of legroom. Now there's no final numbers yet in terms of the legroom space, but the floor here is completely flat because remember this is built off of a bespoke EV architecture. And this is basically where I'd have the seat to drive if I were driving the vehicle. And for 5'7", you can see I can stretch my legs out very comfortably. In terms of the headroom space, this does slope back pretty far, so my head actually does get pretty close to the roof. So if you're over 6 feet, you may find the headroom a little bit lacking in the rear seat area. You can see the material quality back here. It's got the same soft leather with the beautiful red ambient lighting. Window controls, again, are automatic, one touch. You have that same button that opens and closes the door, which is nice. And then back here, you can see there's a 9.4-inch screen for the rear seat passengers. Now this allows you to basically control the climate functions. You can also control where the airflow goes because the air vents, again, are electronic. You control it via the screen. You can also access the heated rear seat function back here, and you can also go there and you can stream services. So you can go to Netflix, Hulu, Twitch, or YouTube. You can watch your favorite YouTubers. Hopefully that's us. But again, that looks amazing. The quality, the resolution basically looks like there's a tablet computer, like an iPad right here. And that's also a really good size. So I love the fact that Tesla is kind of upping their game in terms of the tech. There's also, like I said, lighting back here. There's also a power outlet, and then you find 2 USB charging ports in there. So I'm assuming the front area also has it very nicely hidden. And then in terms of this area here, you can actually fold this down to give you an armrest with 2 cup holders. So overall, the backseat area for a truck that's not a full-size vehicle, I have to say it gives you near full-size levels of actual trunk space, which I think is going to be important for people who plan to use this thing as a family vehicle. So thanks to Rob, he actually did find the little strap here that allows you to flip the seat up. So you can see this side that I'm sitting on also flips up as well. And then if you want to actually store stuff here, this creates a flat floor. I believe Tesla said there was an additional 33 cubic feet of actual storage space in here if you fold the seats up, which again provides even more coverage space if you guys plan to use this thing to haul some stuff inside. So after a long 5-year wait, it's pretty impressive to see the Cybertruck finally reach production form. And after seeing this truck in person, I have to say it is very much as otherworldly as I expected it to be, especially when I first saw it out in pictures and stuff when it was online. Closing the bed back here, you can actually see is manual, but I also love the fact that you have this power retractable tonneau cover that just looks really impressive. It's very clean, it's very flush. So I love the fact that Tesla is kind of sweating the details here. Now, one thing I also forgot to talk about, the charge port door is located right here. You can see it's a power door. And this truck is also the first Tesla vehicle to run off of the 800-volt architecture. So basically what that means is this thing can accept up to 350 kilowatts on a DC fast charger, basically Tesla superchargers. Tesla claims that this model here, if you're plugged into a supercharger, you can basically add around between 128 to 136 miles in just 15 minutes. So with a truck that has a 123 kilowatt hour battery pack, that's going to be great. And I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what Tesla is going to do for their next generation of vehicles, because again, this is kind of the start of an all new era for Tesla, and it really shows. Now, in terms of availability and pricing, this is where the Cybertruck got a little bit, interesting when they finally talked about the production version, because this truck here, when Tesla first talked about it in 2019, Elon Musk said it was going to be priced at under $40,000. Clearly that is not the case anymore. In fact, if you guys want to get your hands on this truck, the Foundation series are being sent out first in terms of deliveries. There was over 250,000 people that basically reserved this truck within the first few days in 2019 to basically put down a reservation. Tesla said that grew to around 2 million reservations by the time we got to November 2023. The truck apparently is sold out for new reservation people until 2027. So if you guys weren't early, you're gonna be waiting for a while to get this truck, or you're probably gonna have to go into the used car market to see people probably flipping these things. But in terms of the base pricing, if you guys want to get the cheapest Cybertruck, you're gonna have to wait until 2025. If you're an early reservation holder, that truck is gonna start at around $60,990. That's for a single motor version with 250 miles of range. Tesla says 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. The Foundation series here that I'm showing you is well over $100,000. The dual motor aspect, however, which will do 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds, that's going to start at just under $80,000. That'll again be available later this year, supposedly. The Cyber Beast, which is the tri-motor version that adds a second motor to the rear of the vehicle with 845 horsepower, that's the one that Tesla says will do 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. It can basically outrun a Porsche 911, a base 911, in the quarter mile. That's what Tesla showed when they first revealed this truck. That's going to start at $99,990. So again, $100,000, which basically sounds about right. If you guys are looking at a lot of the competitors, the GMC Hummer EV is also around $100,000. The Rivian R1T starts at around $80,000, can go up to $93,000. So obviously Tesla is going to be charging a premium for this truck. and you kind of expected them to do so because just look at this thing. It's gonna get attention everywhere you take it. In fact, a lot of my colleagues who've had a chance to actually drive this thing tell me all the time it's literally a truck that gets attention everywhere. If you guys don't like attention, don't buy this thing, but I also expect this thing to also be a very common sight in the next few years once Tesla eventually gets production up for this vehicle, because again, there are a ton of hand raisers out there that are simply waiting for the truck, and they've been waiting for around 5 years. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full first look overview on the 2024 Tesla Cybertruck. If you're also looking to see the latest vehicles I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.